Hey guys, James Wilson Taylor here for Rock Sound. It's the latest of our video calls. We have been chatting with everybody while we're all stuck at home at the minute, and I'm delighted to say our guest today from Dashboard Confessional, Chris, is on the line. How are you, Chris?
Good, James. How you doing, buddy?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. All the better for seeing you. And, we've started these off in the same way, which is, of course, to say, I hope you're keeping safe, hope you're keeping well throughout all this very, very strange 12 months we've had. And I will, of course, add for yourself, it's great to see you looking well, buddy, and great to know that recovery and you're kind of on the mend in the minute. How has this time at home been for you over this this very strange period we're having?
It's been complex. I don't know anybody, James, that has just been hit by COVID in this year. It seems that there's personal challenges for everybody beyond the pandemic, and the pandemic is enough, right? But I was in that accident, and even though it's been a long road of recovery, one of the benefits is that I haven't been too sucked into the malaise maybe that I was probably prone to in a time where there was really no work to be done because I had a job to do, and that was just to get better. So, I'd rather have not gotten in the accident, but that's the upside.
Yeah, a strange thing to have to focus on, but I guess, yeah, like you say, a distraction in a way.
Yeah, and I have a lot of purpose at the moment, and that's a good thing to have in a time like this.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with channeling that purpose. You've just played your first show in a very long time, got to do this live stream show themed around Valentine's Day. What a joyous event that is. And I guess that's where we'll start. How did it feel to be playing music again and with, not in the same room necessarily, but the public out there watching?
Well, I had my bandmates, which was a big deal, just the three other friends and the people filming. That was the most people I've been around since with the exception of going to physical therapy, which is always packed somehow. But anyway, that's the most people I've been around. And I wasn't able to play music for months, and I wasn't physically able to play the guitar. I could sing a little. So to finally get to the point where not only could I do it, but I could do it with a certain amount of prowess. By the way, I made plenty of mistakes because my hand and arms don't quite work as easily as they once did, and they will again. But for now, I took it on the chin a little bit with accepting I wasn't going to play every note right. But to be with my friends and playing, and even though I was looking to the void of a camera lens, I felt a connection. I felt a connection to the people on the other end, and I think a lot of that had to do, James, with the fact that I've received so much kindness from people that I don't know, anonymously in some cases, letters and books and pieces of artwork and things like that. And it was a flood. So I felt this, and I've always felt a deep connection to my audience, but I felt it on a personal level more deeply than ever before.
Yeah, I mean, these live stream shows that obviously so many artists have been attempting over these last year, and what I've loved about them, I've said this before, is how radically different they are, because everyone is tailoring them, of course, as you might expect, to their own audience and finding new, interesting ways to approach it. But I mean, with yourself, yeah, it has this extra element of celebration to it. Of course it does. And I just wonder more generally, besides the obvious element there of it is your first time getting to play music again, what were the other things you wanted to achieve with the live stream show? Because it is a very different experience by its nature to what you're used to in terms of a live gig.
Well, one thing I knew that was going to be different about a live stream, I did a couple before I was in the wreck, and I liked them, but I didn't know what to like about them yet. But I had a lot of time to reflect and watch other people's while I was down. And one thing I realized that happens at my shows that couldn't happen, obviously, in this setting is the sing-along. So with that removed, I thought, what kind of structure could these songs live and breathe in better? Like what would be the heart of the song without everyone singing it together? So I tried to make the songs, I tried to explore their smaller moments, because I've never been in that setting where I've been able to do so, and try to amplify, let the moment focus on the subtleties of the songs, and let those I hate this term, but I don't really know another one, but really let the songs breathe.
Yeah, no, it's such an interesting approach, man. Out of curiosity, what were some of the live stream shows that you checked out before? Were there any that really impressed you in particular?
Yeah, well, I watched Ben Gibbard do a bunch of his covers, and his, when he was doing it weekly. Brian Fallon did a weekly series that was incredible. But in terms of full shows, I thought the ones that I thought were remarkable and stood out from the rest were about 5 or 6. There's Dua Lipa's was incredible. I thought the Under Oath one was unreal. On a different side of things in terms of production, I thought Mayday Parade's live stream is just gorgeous, understated and personal. I think I veered towards more of what they had inspired me to do. And then, of course, right before I was in the weeks before and days before mine, I watched the Jimmy Eat World ones, because Jimmy Eat World is one of my favorite bands. And I guess we kind of overlap in a certain sense. And I was curious to see what I felt that was different than having seen them play so many times. And I was surprised to find out that a lot of it felt differently. The way I felt in reacting to songs I knew so well was new. And all those streams that I just mentioned really made me feel like songs that I thought I'd reinvented many times could be reinvented again.
Yeah, it's so interesting, such an interesting process. And well, I guess one of the few good things that's come out of this people being unable to tour is the opportunity to try new things and explore things in new ways like you've done. So yeah, really, really interesting stuff to see. Before we get onto more new music and stuff, just on, you're obviously, we're so delighted that, you're on the road to recovery here. I wonder, and, forgive me if this is too personal a question, but I'm just interested by what the actual challenges were in terms of, like you say, really physically learning to play the music again. Do you have specific exercises you've been having to do? How does it kind of practically work?
So the list of exercises is very long that I have to do daily, and probably will have to do a number of them for the rest of my life in order to just function appropriately and with freedom. I am only about 7 months out from the accident, so there's plenty of time. It takes a year to 2 years to heal fully, or as fully as you're going to heal from an accident like that. So I had broken both shoulders, and they were reset with, I might have this math wrong, but it's 2 plates and I think 26 screws. So there's a lot of hardware that limits my range of motion, and I'm trying to limit that effect that it's having on cause. I'm trying to have as much range of motion and strength as I can. But the problem when it came to music, because music is a smaller scale of range of motion, but in the accident, I'd severed on both arms the biceps and the deltoids, and they had to be redraped and sewn again. And so they didn't quite go in the same direction. Plus, they had trauma, the muscles themselves. So when I would try to turn my wrist, say, it wouldn't turn as much. Or if I tried to use the proper fingering on the guitar, I wouldn't get the same. It wouldn't go to the right place. Essentially, I lost a good portion of my muscle memory, and had to begin a long process of. In fact, I took guitar lessons and taking guitar lessons in order to find. And I had taken a lesson here or there, but I never really took lessons as people think to take lessons. A lot of self-directed study on my journey to learn how to play guitar. Now, the beauty of it is, I am kind of in love with like learning having a deeper understanding of my instrument. So whereas when I began, just to hold my arms in a position to play guitar would fatigue them so much that I would say it was like a hard endeavor to get more than, say, 2-3 minutes a day just to hold my arms this way, let alone do anything with them. But now I'm able to play hours a day, and there's been a lot of work in between. And that the filming of the live stream was, or the filming of the stream was, I would say, the end of a chapter for me and the beginning of a whole new start, where I where I hit the, that was a big mile marker on my journey. But it wasn't about completion. It was about beginning the next stage, proving to myself I could play a whole set, that I could play it with a certain amount of prowess and freedom. And then now taking it forward to saying that's a given. How much better can I be?
It's great to have those moments where you can mark that progress. Congratulations to you, and long may it continue on that road. Absolutely, man. There's loads I want to talk to you about. One thing is a key day, because I know obviously you've been spending a lot of time reflecting on 20 years of the band as a whole, and we get to this stage now where these milestones are getting hit in terms of anniversaries. But one I just have to mention, because it's coming up next month at the time of recording, it's going to be 20 years of Places You've Come to Feel the Most, and what a landmark album that was for you. I guess as part of that reflection, around the tour and the greatest hits and all that kind of stuff, you must have been looking back on that album in particular, I would imagine, too. Talk to me a little bit about, I guess, your memories of that particular time period.
They're all good. What great memories I have of having really modest goals with making a record and just heading out on tour to support it. And the fact that it was there was a level of animosity, excuse me. There was a level of anonymity that I had at that time. So I was able to make a record that I could put out into the world, thinking the world was the parameters of that world were small and narrow, like my scene. And my niche of a niche within a scene. I thought basically I'd made a record that I really believed in, that I hoped was good, that I hoped I'd have a chance to play in front of people. And that was, if I'd gotten that chance, that was goal completion. I felt like I would have won a victory. And with that record came the opportunity to expand that goal to almost a life's work. And that is a humbling thing to think about. I also think that there's a nakedness to that record that I know I would find out later. It was obvious to me after the fact that people wanted from me, that I knew to steer clear of until I felt that it was true and real inside me. And that was what was drawing me towards it. So I think it would have been professionally, I guess, advantageous to just immediately or soon thereafter or eventually release another record like that, another very bare record that was without a lot of affectation. But it took me until recently to come to that place from a personal point of view, and not, oh, this is what's desired of me. And I'm aware that my career might have been bigger if I had been able to force that. But I'm proud of myself for not having forced that sooner. Yeah. I'm finding it eventually was this, it was well worth the wait. And obviously I'm talking about a record no one's heard, but sure. I believe that this is that special time where I've got it, no one else does. And I can tell you that it is real.
It's exciting. You feel like it's akin to that style, or what is it? Is it just this, I suppose you're in a place now where you are rediscovering a lot of things. And I guess actually even just the act of taking guitar lessons must make you think more and more about your playing style and what you enjoy out of it more than anything else. That's
the case now, for sure. But I made this record before the accident. Actually, I made this record before I left for the tour that got pulled due to COVID. Oh, wow. So there's another one coming. Not like the accident record. I don't really want to make that record.
Yeah, I've heard you say that already, and yeah, fair enough.
I just don't, maybe I'll have some territory to explore there as an artist, but it just feels like this, though there's like, obviously there will be emotional repercussions to something, that derails your life for a period of your life. it's not the kind of territory I enjoy exploring for song. It's just about perseverance and making it through this thing. And I can do that without funneling it all into a song. But that said, I have had a lot of time to sit and play guitar, and that always leads to music. That always leads to writing, and that always leads to reflection. So ancillarily, it will have an effect, I think.
Interesting.
But this record that I'm speaking about, I would have had it out by now. But I don't mind waiting, because I'm extending that period where I just share it with just a few people. That's really lovely thing that I didn't realize I loved so much in the early days. In the early days, even though I said I made it in the anonymity and in the absence of like a dream of spreading it as wide as it's been spread since, I really did enjoy that experience of knowing just one or two people had this. I remember the Built to Spill record, Keep It Like a Secret. I remember feeling like that title kind of applied to the experience I was having with sharing the music, and it feels like that again for now.
For sure.
We did play one new song though during the stream. We did play a song from the record.
Oh, so that,
a song
that
called. Sorry.
So that is going to be on the new record, is it?
The song Burning Heart is on the new record. Yeah.
Interesting. I guess there's a temptation, isn't there, when you've been sat on a record for this kind of long period of time? And I know lots of artists have, of course, just because of COVID and everything, had to do this as well. Is there a temptation to take another look? Is there a temptation to have, like, you know, the always unfinished symphony, if you will, just, you know, wanting to touch up little things there? Or do you feel like, nope, it's done, it's definitive, I like it like that?
So like, if you listen to any piece of work long enough, you'll find the soft spots within it. So I've had to say to ask myself the question of, would changing this better the record? But there's factors that go into that question. It's a loaded question. Maybe I could take like any piece of work has its softest moment or softest song, say. And sure, I could take it out and replace it with something else, but I'm kind of trusting the feeling that I had initially, which was like, this is it's not stream of consciousness, that would be an oversimplification, but they have a relationship to each other nonetheless. The songs do. And so I made a decision to let it be. It doesn't mean I haven't been tempted to tinker, but I've let it be.
It's exciting. Can't wait to hear it, man. Very, very exciting times ahead. Before we get into what may be ahead as well, I want to look back a little bit because it's been a minute since we've had the chance to chat, obviously. Some of the things you've been up to. I want to mention the Post Malone cover that you released, which got such a lovely reaction online. I'm sure you've seen. It's such an interesting take on a song like that. I guess the obvious question would just be, why that song? What was it about that track in particular that appealed to you?
Well, it's a great song. I don't really know how else to shine it up, you know, like I think Post Malone's a fantastic songwriter. And I think he's one of the reasons he has such appeal is that he clearly draws on a multitude of influences. And there are probably cases where our inspiration overlaps. The bands that I love, I'm sure there's a few that are the bands he loves, I assume. But when I heard that song, it hooked in the lyrics of it. It just, the marriage between the lyrics and the melody kind of just hooked inside me. And I would find myself playing it backstage a little more than passively with, you know, some conviction. And my guitar player, Armin J, he loves the song. He loved it for the same reasons and for his own reasons. And he just, it was like in his head, it was a foregone conclusion that we should cover this, that we would cover this song. So when, you know, we were asked to do Spotify singles, and I, as I often do, you know, this Spotify single session they often have a cover song involved. And so I presented it to my bandmates. What song do you think? Oh, well, we should definitely do Circles. Now I thought maybe we would do something of a different era of music, or of a genre more aligned with, I like taking songs that are lesser known and introducing them to my audience, and hoping that, like, when you make a playlist for somebody, that they'll go down the rabbit hole and chase an artist they didn't know about before. I love that moment as a music fan. But Armin was pretty adamant that this was that I had a conviction about this. He recognized that I had a certain conviction when I would sing this song, and he was like, "That we need to just do that." It's sometimes you can't see things as they're laying in front of you, and I was great. I was great that my friend could see it.
Yeah, fits so well, man. And I guess another cover I did just want to briefly touch on. I know you did it a while back, but the 1975 cover of Sex. And I mentioned this purely because I was very lucky, got to be at a couple of your solo shows actually when you're over here in London. And of course, Matty Healy came out and performed that song live with you.
On the bed in my room, I'm about to finish shoes. You say no, you say no. Seem to carry you. Could I easily finish shoes? You say no. You say no.
Yeah, Matty is a great friend of mine. He's a good friend to have. He is, in my estimation, he'll be one of those. He and his bandmates, they're like timeless artists. I believe they'll be doing this intense response that people have to the 1975. That'll happen for generations after they're gone, probably. It's inspiring, and then to get to know them and become friends with them has been a beautiful thing. Music can be the great equalizer, but Matty's he's a legend.
It was something I thought was so interesting when he popped up on stage that night. He said something to the effect of, "We're going to play a song," and I'll be honest, I was probably trying to write a dashboard song when I wrote this song. I just thought that was quite interesting because I never would have heard that connection necessarily until I heard your version. Aside from the obvious thing that's you singing it, you made it into what it is at its core, which is that type of emotional ballad in a way.
I suppose there's, on some level, I must have. I would say, like, I would think that on some level I should say that maybe I responded to it because it felt like my songs, but it didn't feel like my songs to me. But I will say I have like a deep emotional reaction to, and my songs are emotional, so maybe that's the undercurrent. Maybe those are the underpinnings of what our relationship as fellow artists are. But I am emotionally moved by every song they put out, be it their rawest, most open song, or their sheeniest, their song with the most sheen and pop elements. I'm moved by their music.
Absolutely, man, absolutely.
And Matty's a lovely friend to have in the world. I'm lucky.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, incredible stuff those guys are doing at the minute. And you know, in the meantime, before I let you go, a couple of quick looks to the future, I suppose. We know new music's out there now. So when do you think we might be unleashing that on the world? Or are you still keeping it to yourself a little bit longer, do you think?
I think at this stage of my career, I don't have to rush anything out. And I'd like to release it when I can play in front of people. So
Sure.
That's the loose timeline.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. And I guess that's the other question really, is that when gigs are allowed back and when, of course, you feel up to playing again, do you think you're going to be, you know, it was unfortunate the 20th anniversary stuff kind of got cut a bit short. Do you see yourself looking back again and revisiting what was going to be that tour? Or are we looking forward with lots and lots of new music? And like you say, this new chapter you appear to be on.
It's an interesting question. I think at this stage of my career, it's not about marking anniversaries, but looking back is just a part of going forward when you've been in a band for 20 years. I don't think living in the past is a healthy thing, but recognizing your past is a healthy thing. So I think we may do anniversaries of some kind or celebrate them with the audience because it's theirs as much as it's mine. But it's boring if it doesn't move forward. Personally boring if it doesn't move forward, and I'm ready to do both. I'm ready to lead with moving forward, though.
Very exciting. And you mentioned briefly as well that, you know, beyond this record that's done and dusted and you're excited to get out there, you're starting to play with some new ideas as well. What can you tell us about that?
I think I'm still in the place I was when I wrote this new record. It seems to be very elemental, for lack of a better way to say it. I'm not making any kind of fancy renditions of the song I write. They're very similar to whatever comes out in the demo, that I put into my voice memo. It seems to be very similar to the end product. Just letting the edges show. That's something I enjoy right now.
Really excited to hear it, man. Well, in the meantime, Chris, you know, it's like I say, it's just great to see you doing so well, man. All the best to you. All the best to your loved ones. Stay safe out there through the madness. And we look forward to seeing you back here in the UK whenever that's allowed. We really hope it's going to be sooner rather than later. But in the meantime, just all the best to you, man.
Thank you, James. You too. And thank you, everyone.
Appreciate it. All right, Chris, everybody.